All right. Hello, world. We are live.
Okay.
Mr. Pete Shaw.
Yes,
Pete, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Excellent. Excellent.
Well, Pete, you're looking good. Mr. Pete Shaw, Canton, Ohio. So good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, same here, Don.
How are you holding up during the pandemic?
Yeah. So that
Hey, Pete, how are you holding up? Pandemic.
good. I'm raring to go back with you. That's how I feel right now.
Yeah, right, for sure. So your body's feeling good. You're healthy, just ready for everything to open back up and get back to normal life, I'm sure, right?
Yep. They moved my physicals back to 6 months, every 6 months. You know, so that they were doing it there every 3. They held, you don't have to come back.
Oh,
So
that's good.
That's weird. So it's been longer than that since I'm doing
well, the great thing is that you're still staying active. I hear you're building deer stands now with Kurt with his new foundation, building deer stands for veterans and wounded warriors. How's that going?
Fine.
Nice.
Are you enjoying the building process with them?
Oh yeah. He doesn't have me do too much, but I can do more than what he thinks.
Uh-oh. We lost.
Yeah, I don't know. I won't stop doing that. There we're back.
Like, who's that guy? So for any of you just tuning in, Pete, many of you have probably seen already in our Normandy 75th anniversary video, where Pete just had such a wonderful experience and his emotions overtook him. And, you know, Pete, tell us a little bit about what your experience was like going back to Normandy for the 75th.
Oh, it was awesome. You know, I never thought I'd be able to have that done or any memories of going back. But when Donnie called me and he said, we want to take you back, a World War II veteran, and I thought, oh my God, this is something. On the 50th anniversary, 2 of my friends and myself, their dads was in D-Day, but they were both deceased. And they said, we want to go. Well, so happened I had to be in the hospital, so I couldn't go. But anyhow, and then this come up 25 years later. Now, oh my God, this is something you dream about.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait. And Donnie says, well, there'll be the airline ticket there at the Akron-Canton Airport. And the amazing thing is, when we flew into the airport in Chicago, they had 2 lines to greet me coming in, welcome to Chicago. And it was so amazing that people would turn out. You know, I don't think that up until the last 10 years that the World War II veterans have not been recognized like they are today. And it's wonderful. And it's just, I'm so proud just to be a part of it. There's so many that can't, but one of the special events that I done with Donnie and all of you was at the national cemeteries. And one, I had 2 of my best friends, and I was at their grave. And I said, well, you'll still be here when I leave, but you'll be in my heart. And they are, all of them. what a close little outfit we were. We weren't many, but we were really, really close. Close-knit outfit.
Yeah,
But
I can imagine.
and it has really made me realize, why we were there and what we accomplished, and now how that we're treated. It's something that you can't just ignore, and it just seems like it's getting better. Like now, it's just.
Yeah, no, it really is special, Pete. Hey, Pete, talk about the reception that you got in Normandy and the thousands of people just there in St. Mary Gallice. As you said, it was like when we had all the wheelchairs and we went through St. Mary Gallice, and you had those tens of thousands of people out there just to shake your hand and kiss you on the cheek. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah. I didn't hear the end of the last.
Can you repeat that? It kind of broke up, Donnie.
Oh, no problem at all. I was just talking about in Normandy, all the people that were there. And when we were in St. Mary Gallice on that one day, and we had, 17 chairs, and we went through the middle of St. Mary Gallice, and there's tens of thousands of people there just to like shake your hand, kiss you on the cheek. What was that like? I mean, that was like, for me, just being there, assisting you guys was like a football game. It was almost like I'm coming out of the tunnel and all the crowd is cheering and yelling. I mean, what was it like for you?
Well, first of all, I think I had goose pimples all over my body and chills.
Yeah.
Just by seeing it and listening to them and watching them and talking and everything. But the thing is how interested they were. How interested they were and everything,
Yeah. It's a big deal for them.
But one amazing thing, Don, is the way they rebuilt them cities that we destroyed. And I told them, well, we had to destroy them to get the Germans out. There's nothing easy in war.
Yeah.
And I remember one fellow, he talks real good English, and he says, why wasn't Cherbourg ever bombed? That was right, like that little island right there at Normandy. And I said, we had orders not to destroy it. It would be taken by hand because it became a famous landing point, ETO, that they could bring the barges right up the ground level and drive them right in. And we didn't want that destroyed. And that's when it became an embarkation port for the Army to deliver stuff in. But I don't know, probably he was from St. Lo where we destroyed it, and Cherbourg wasn't touched.
Right. I mean, a lot different than St. Lo. I mean, you were there. I mean, Field Artillery. I mean, you guys just, seeing the pictures and even seeing the church there. I mean, and you talk about reconstruction, even the church there in St. Lo. I know Mag would talk about it with you before, but there's still a lot of remnants from the war that they left. They rebuilt it, but they kept a lot of it there still.
Especially the pillboxes. Remember the pill? Big in there with the little slot in. Well, that's where they would recognize anybody coming. They would shoot at us, stick their guns out there. But we would get up with a rope and have a hand grenade on and swing it inside of that little gap. Well, that cleared them out. And that's how we got them out. Because
so it was a hand grenade?
All they could do was shoot forward.
So Pete, it was a hand grenade on a rope or a string,
Oh, yeah. It would get underneath the window.
and you swing it in.
They had little slots. They were about 8 foot long, but they were only 4 inches wide. And the only way they could shoot was forward with their guns, their rifles. So
Yeah.
we'd get underneath. There's no way they could hurt us underneath, and we'd throw them up. I think there were 2 that didn't make it in, but we were
Run.
pretty well protected.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
But
Pete,
you see, that one was still there.
yeah. Well, Pete, we have a lot of people from all over the world who want to come in and say hi to you. So
Okay.
we're going to start bringing some people in.
All right.
Get ready. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's good. So
All right, so we're going to go in order. Here we got Charlie coming in.
Yeah.
I think we know Charlie. Hey, Charlie.
Hi.
hi, Charlie.
Before I start, I just want to say thank you so much for your service, Mr. Shaw. And I believe we spoke on the phone back in April of 2019. And I spoke to you a little about your service during World War II. I just want to say hi again.
I'm glad to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's great
Charlie.
talking to you as well. So I have one question for you, and it
Hey,
was
Charlie. Hey,
yep.
Charlie. Hey, real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, just tell everybody your age and where you're from.
All right, so I'm 14 now. I had my birthday back in December, and I'm from Minnesota, but now I live in the UK.
Perfect.
And
Wonderful, wonderful, Charlie.
thanks. And so my question for you, Mr. Shaw, was during the war, do you have any like fond memories? And I know like there were probably a lot of bad memories from the fighting, but do you have any like good memories from the war?
Oh, I have a lot of good memories, believe me. And especially is when we were liberating the towns and small cities going up, that how the French people were out there welcome us. Would you and holding up water, you know, if you want a water or something, you know, it was amazing what they thought, what they felt for us for liberating all of their and being away from our families and home. They were concerned about that, and that's what makes it life, you know. The recognition that the people give one another, especially at the wartime when we were there.
Yeah.
Everything, yeah. So you can be proud of all that. It's so wonderful. Memories, you know, Charlie, there's one thing, they can never take your memories away from you. You'll have them for life. And when you get maybe not as old as me, I hope before you remember it, but that you have those memories, and they're the greatest thing that you can have in life. If you don't have memories, Charlie, you really have nothing.
Yeah.
And I know right now, just talking to you, that you have memories, and that's wonderful. And it's so good to talk to you.
It's so good to talk to you too, sir.
Yeah.
You guys have talked on the phone, but never seen each other like face to face like this.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's super cool. I mean, thank God for technology, especially during this pandemic. This is so much better for us to stay connected with each other from all around the world, from the UK to Ohio, Coeur d'Alene to California. I mean, it's just really special. But Pete, it's really important that, you know, you talked about in Charlie, you know, some fond memories, some memories, but you talk about memories, and just as, you know, when we were in Normandy, we visited some of your friends that are buried there that didn't have a chance to live a full life. I mean, this is so important that their memory by you talking about them and remembering them keeps them alive, you know, and it's so special because you speak for all the ones who cannot speak anymore. And it's so important.
I know in our video, like it really made an impact on people when you started talking, saying the names of all your comrades who were buried in there. Like people were just blown away that you could still remember their names, and you just started saying them, and that made a huge impact on people just because it became so real. Like they're not just a name on a cross, but like you're like, I knew these people, and you remembered their names, like, and that was a huge impact on people.
Donnie, I don't know if you remember, but at the American cemetery, when that lady, 81 years old, come over and hugged me. Anyhow, I said, well, I'm so glad that you're here. No, she says, I'm one of the caretakers of the graves. And I am up here every day. And she says, I try to keep it clean and the grass cut. I said, oh, you know, you're special. No, she says, it's my honor. That's the way that she felt. And that made me feel so good, you know, to think that they care that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, the French are special people. I mean, there's so many. I mean, even the Dutch. I mean, you know, adopting graves. I know Ralph Peters on our team, and you know, he does a great job with Faces of Margrethe, like putting together pictures and stories of the graves, you know, there, and especially people in France, like you said, that, you know, that woman goes there every week and cleans it up and takes care of it. I mean, that's just good to know that, you know, you guys came across the Atlantic Ocean, didn't speak the language, and liberated them. And that's a great thing about, you know, about those countries, is that they don't forget their liberators, and they pass it on down to generations and generations, which is so important. So it's really nice for you to see that on that level, to see the respect that they still have all these years later for the liberators.
Yes, they really showed it. It's unbelievable what you went through to save us. Leave your homes and everything to come over here and fight. And I said, well, that was what we were made to do.
Wow.
Human beings. And you don't deserve what Hitler would have done.
Yeah.
But
For
it
sure.
was so wonderful.
Well, Charlie, it's good to see you again.
Yeah,
I
good to see you
have a
guys.
quick question for Charlie.
Okay.
Hey, Charlie, we're in Minnesota. Do you mind sharing where you're from? That's where I'm from. We took Pete back there last year for a vacation right after Normandy. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. From Edina. I'm from Edina in Minnesota.
Okay, all right. Well, we took him. We went up to Hackensack for I think it was 7 or 10 days. I can't remember, but
10 days.
Was it 10 days?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's all I had to ask.
Went fishing.
Yep.
Got some
Good fishing.
beautiful.
Did you ride your motorcycle, Pete? Did you ride your motorcycle, Pete?
No, no motorcycles up there.
No more.
Mosquitoes.
All right. Cool. Well, Charlie, thanks for coming by.
Thank you so much for having me on again.
Okay, Charlie, thank you.
We'll see you again.
And now I'm going to be going back to Minnesota. My son, he gets better. We're going to go up. He has a mobile home, 48-footer, and we're going to go up. Kurt's mother and dad were just down here. They went back yesterday. They had so many Christmas presents. She said, my God, it would cost a fortune to send them. So they drove them down.
Must be a nice gift for sure.
Everybody looked at their Christmas, but it was over an hour.
Well, hey, Pete, Charlie now lives in the UK. How long you been out there, Charlie?
About a decade now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You don't have an
Recording-
accent.
You probably don't remember Minnesota at all.
I mean, I have like a few memories, but aside from that, not much.
Well,
But,
just to let you know, Charlie, I used to live in England also.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was actually stationed at Lakenheath for over 3 years.
Wow. We have a lot in common, I must say.
I know, that's what I'm finding out.
That's awesome.
I spent 3 months, excuse me, in South Wales. That's where I took my basic training.
Oh,
They
nice.
needed it so bad, so quick, that I spent a month and a half here, and the rest was over in South Wales for the basic training.
Wow.
But when we were called, we were right there.
That's so cool. Thank you so much. That's so interesting. Like,
You see what you run into.
yeah,
Small world.
small
Nice.
world.
Well, cool, Charlie. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Happy New
Thank you,
Year's.
Charlie, and good luck to you.
Oh, thank
Thank
you
you,
too.
Charlie.
Thank you for, and Happy New Year.
And
Happy
same
New
to you. And a prosperous one as you get older. Everybody needs that.
Yeah, for sure. He's a next generation. Pete is so
Yep.
special. You know, Charlie,
Yeah.
he just turned 14 years old, and
Yeah.
his interest and love for history and for your generation. I mean, his peers and his generation are the ones that are going to propel it forward in the future, so that we never, ever, ever forget.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, let's keep bringing people in.
Let's do it.
We got Connor coming in. Connor's a good friend of ours, Pete.
Yeah. Hey, Connor, tell Pete your age and where you're from.
I'm 15 years old and I live in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Did you hear that, Pete?
Yeah. 13 years old and
15.
in Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
All right, Connor, go ahead.
So my question is, what were your parents' names and did you have any brothers and sisters?
Would you say that again?
What were your parents' names
Oh,
and brothers and sisters?
My mother was from France, and her name was Nathalia. They spelled it Nathalie, but in American it's Natalie.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
And my father was from South Wales.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
It was between England and South Wales. So, well, no, I'm sorry, my grandmother and my grandfather. So she was 16 years old to come across America on a sailboat.
Wow.
And he was 20. So the captain announced, a married couple goes one fare and singles each one paid. So my grandfather then, he says, are you anybody with you to my grandmother? And she says, no. Well, then let's get married. So they got married and split the
Got
fare.
married to save on a boat fare?
And she,
Awesome.
Pay $4.
Annie. And she said, we'll split the, and she says, what I remembered both, we'll split the fare. And that's the way he was.
That's awesome. That's a
it
great pickup
lasted
line.
56 years. that
Wow.
marriage.
Wow.
And when they got in Pennsylvania, of course, my mother being French, she had an aunt that was over here, and they lived in a little community, Frenchville, in Pennsylvania. So my grandfather, they moved a little place down. There was 3 homes, 3 houses, and he said, well, we'll call this Shawville. And there it is, Shawville in Clearfield County. And people don't believe that, but there's about, maybe 20 homes there now. But
Wow.
it is Shawville.
Wow, you're the mayor.
Named their own towns.
Super cool.
Yeah.
That is
And also,
awesome.
did you have any brothers or sisters, Pete?
Oh, and I have 2 sisters. I had 2 sisters, Mary Ann, Mary Amelia, and I have 2 brothers, Louis, and named after my mom's grandfather, Louis. Everybody had this. She was French, so it was after Louis Napoleon, of course.
Wow.
And so that's the origin of their names. And my mother, God bless her, lived to be 96.
Wow.
And my brother, my oldest brother, he lived to be 95. And the youngest one was 79. So I pretty longevity in life.
And Pete,
With
you're about to
family.
turn 98 or 97?
97.
You're about to turn 97. So
Your
Pete,
birthday's on
97,
January
on the
11th,
11th.
right?
Yep, 97.
January
97.
January,
97.
yeah. 111. January 11th.
Hey, Pete, did you have any brothers or sisters join the service as well?
No, they were too young and one was too old. My oldest brother, Louis, was 37 and a half, and you couldn't be over 36.
Uh,
And
And
my
how old
other
were you when you
brother, when
joined?
everything started, was 16 and a half, just ready to turn 17, and he was too young. You had to be 18.
yeah.
So of
How old
course
were
I
you?
hit that. But and then when he did become eligible, he had a serious job at the Westinghouse Naval Company. So he was had an automatic deferment to work for, during the war, the naval plant. Of course, that's how you got your if you couldn't go to the army and you had a reason, if it wasn't physical, that you could get work if
Yeah.
it was necessary. And with him, with the Westinghouse Naval, where they made naval guns, and he became chief inspector there. So
Right, which is
he got a deferment.
all important for the whole entire
Yeah,
the whole entire gamut. You need people making weapons and expecting them and shipping. I mean, everything. It makes it all go around, and that's the ultimate
Yeah.
team there. Hey, Connie, you got another question?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So
So what was your experience like during the Battle of the Bulge?
well, that was the last big contact bout that there was, but Hitler had pulled everybody back that were still available, and he put on the last push, figured that he was going to break through, and of course we got there too fast for him. But there were more soldiers, American soldiers, killed at the Battle of the Bulge as there was on Normandy. There were over 90,000. That's unbelievable. A lot of people don't even know that. And they claim the Germans lost about 125,000. But that was a big bush, and that's in the archives. Them numbers.
Wow.
What about for you
It
personally?
was just we had 4 big armies within there: the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th armies. And I was with the 3rd, and that was Patton. And and we went in. We were really closer to Luxembourg when we went in to the battle, and that's where we hit at Luxembourg, and they were scattered on the north, the east, and the south section, and we all closed in together, and that's when we trapped them. But it cost us a lot to get in there, but it cost them more to stay there. So that's the way we looked at it.
Can you explain to me about the 1st Army, the 5th Army, and the 7th Army?
The 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th.
Can you explain to me about the 5th Army and the 7th Army?
Yeah. And the 3rd is when, well, Patton was really, he was the boss of all the armies, really. You know, if he wasn't, he made himself boss.
To control.
And, but yeah, so anyhow, but I supported Patton three different, especially in Belgium and in the Argonnes. That's 2 of the tough places. But in Belgium, we were field artillery, 105 howitzers, and so there they couldn't. He was losing too many men getting them out of the woods. Big force that there in Belgium. Well, it's putting your all force in Belgium. So he says, bring in the 283rd. And he took us in there, and he used our cannons instead of their little mortar shells. And our they had 8 different powder that you had on the string, and each powder they shot so far, and he would take number 1 and put it in the cannon. Number 1, and the piece they call it the barrel. You had to call them a piece. Was pointing straight up in the air. That's how we were that close to their front line.
Wow.
And when you fired, it went up, and when it come down, yeah, it went straight up and straight down, and they had what we call poison, not poison, poison powder. That's what they called it, and that shell exploded about 100 feet above ground, and it just took the treetops right off of the trees, where you're going to see the Germans run out with the shrapnel and everything coming down.
Wow.
Well, they didn't stay in that force. And those that come out with their hands back of their neck or on their head, they were safe. If they run out, they're still running. They're still there.
Wow.
They shot them right down. There was no as if or buts. Well, that's how you had to be.
Amazing the details you remember, Pete.
Mr. Pete?
Yeah. So
Can you explain what the experience was like liberating Dachau with the 1st Army?
well, third Army headquarters called. We were close to there, and they said, we think it's a depot of some kind, we want you to go in and look. So we went in, and there was no soldiers, one vehicle, but there was these two big buildings, and you could see the train, the engine. What's going on? But on the flue, the top of the big flue that was 40 foot high, there was white smoke coming out. Well, what it was a crematory where they burned the prisoners, the DP, displaced persons, and that we liberated 127 that were going in to be cremated. They told me, you're going in to be showered and that. Two of the ones that we saved, they told us they could talk perfect English. And but they were Germans, but they were again Hitler. And I said, well, to the one who was very Henry something, I can't think of his last name, but Henry was Hendry or something like that. And I said, how do you talk so perfect English? He said, well, didn't you know when we conquered America, we could talk English? And of course, it never happened, but they had, and then after we liberated, and there were 3 that come out that surrendered to us. That was all. All the rest were destroyed, the guys. And they had a pit. It was 4 foot wide, 4 foot deep, and 20 foot long, filled with DPs that some were alive. And I don't think I have the picture of the book here. Yes, I do, that I can show you, where half of them were they were naked. And the box cars, we called them mini cars. They were filled with DPs and prisoners, displaced persons and prisoners that Hitler did, or they weren't Supermen. Even Germans that he put in there. And what really hurt to see was 12 and 14-year-old children that had a defect to them for some way, and they were in there. I'll tell you, it's hard to talk about, but people don't really realize what a monster that he was, to do something like that to them dear children. And I just a second. Maybe I have it in this.
What you looking
This
for?
is one of a book that they took with me over with you, Donnie. They put my story in this book.
Yeah, I have it. I have it right here.
They put my story. There's 6 pages of you having us over here.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let me grab it. I think I have it right here.
There you are.
Hold it back.
Yeah.
Wow.
And here I am
Like
in
honor
the
there.
story.
I think he looks a little bit better. I don't know, maybe.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at,
Yeah. It on the cover it has interview from a D-Day World War II veteran to D-Day, Normandy, Dachau.
Wow.
But I was,
Who's that handsome fella right there, Pete?
yeah.
Pete.
Put that closer to the screen or to the camera, Donnie,
Oh, shit.
if you can. Look at that debonair young man.
I was hoping that.
Yeah, this is wonderful. There you
Oh,
are right
yeah,
here.
here
Where
it
can
is.
people get that, Donnie?
Look up here, Pete. He's got it up there for you.
Yeah, there it is. Yes.
Where can people get that?
Pete?
We made this up when I was with Donnie over.
So you see this here. So this is Dachau right
Yeah,
here.
you can see where they're.
Yeah,
where
this is
they're
Dachau right here,
naked
Connor.
and half
Yep.
dressed. That was the pit. And from
Yeah.
and they had a bulldozer to cover them up.
Oh, man.
And they weren't even dead yet. And they had a bulldozer.
That's
I
horrible.
can't imagine seeing that.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
People, unless they see that, they would never ever believe it.
Yeah.
But anyhow, when we liberated that, the headquarters chief says, I want you to tape it off with tape, that orange tape on the spool. And if you see anybody taking a picture, we're going to court-martial them. We don't want no pictures out.
Oh, wow.
We're saving them. And here, when they had the Nuremberg trials,
Yeah.
didn't they show that? They showed everything. And they said, don't deny this.
Right.
And they had it. That's why they don't want any pictures out.
Wow.
But yeah, but that's the exact same pictures.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Looks like Connor dropped out, must have lost connection.
Yeah.
So let's start bringing some more people in. You feeling good, Pete?
Yeah, I'm there.
All right, he's doing good.
Yeah.
He's feeling good.
I'm raring to go.
All right, let's bring in Patrick.
Yeah. I don't know if Donnie remembers that one. He said, over there, I talked to put every one of our doings. Well, none of the rest would volunteer. So they want to hear something, I'll talk. And they said, the one says, wind Pete up and he'll talk all day.
All right, Pete. Well, we got Patrick here. Patrick, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell them how old you are and where you're from.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Pete. And before I introduce myself, Donnie
Hi,
Austin,
Patrick.
have a happy New Year, and for the All Best Events
Thank you,
Foundation,
same
Happy
to
New
you.
Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Well, Mr. Pete, I'm Patrick Morales. I'm from Philippines, Manila. I'm coming 24 years old this February.
He's from the Philippines, Pete.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's one place I wanted to go, but I've never been there, so I think it's a little late now.
Oh, we'll get you there.
But
Come on, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, what time is it there right now?
It's almost 3 a.m. here.
3 a.m.
3 a.m., Pete.
3 a.m., Pete.
Yeah.
He
stayed
set
up
his
this late just to say
Wow.
hi to you.
yeah, he set his alarm to get up to
Yeah,
to talk with
so
you.
good that you get up at that time just to talk. That's
To
wonderful.
you. Go on, Patrick.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for Mr. Pete. After the beaches was secured, how does it feel to step on the Normandy beach during the war, when the beach was secured?
Huh?
How did it feel to step on the beach when the beach was all secured?
But we were what they considered the third wave. We were the first mechanized division to go, and we went in at Utah. Utah was really the only beach. There were 5 beaches that were landing at the same time. And Utah was so level, you know, that we could get right off of the ASTPs, the carriers that took us over and dropped the gate down, would drive right off of them, right up under the beach. Of course, what we didn't know, but when at the edge of the water, it was 2.5 foot deep.
Oh.
Any deeper would have got up into the motor. And we drove right up, and the weapons were already loaded, the howitzers. And when we hit that beach line,
Not the M101 howitzer.
it was right into St. Lo. And there were quite a few bodies laying around in the water on the beach. And because we was like our artillery, which was one of the first mechanized division, and we were a small unit, but we were the first to get up on that hill. And there was another island. I said about that was Cherbourg. It was a night all by itself. They said don't hit it because we use it for a landing port for us to bring supplies into France right from the channel. But and then Katrina hit there and fought all the way up to Paris. And when we got up there, de Gaulle, General de Gaulle, he wanted to save Paris and all the museums and artifacts they had. It's just gorgeous, unbelievable what they had there. And he declared it an open city, that neither the Allies or the Axis would bomb or fight. So the only destruction really was individual gunfire that you see on the walls. But he said, and a lot of people condemned him so badly for stopping the war there, you know, but he saved Paris. And like the Notre Dame Cathedral, the Arch of Diop, it's amazing that I call them artifacts, which are more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
But
And you were able to see Paris when we went out there for the 75th, and you saw Notre Dame. Remember?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And I was trying to think of what that other city was. And anyhow, what really hurt, my grandmother was from France, and her home was in Dijon, what they call. And we had to bomb that city.
Wow.
And it was one of the larger cities, but we had to get them out. We had no options. You don't have options during the war.
No. Certainly don't. Patrick, you have another question?
Yeah, just one last question. In those 5 battle campaigns of the 283rd Field Artillery Battalion, which is do you think, for you, which is the hardest battle campaign you fought there?
He's asking out of the 5 battle campaigns, which was the hardest battle?
Yeah, which was the most difficult?
What
was the most difficult that you remember?
Well, I would say we had a lot of opposition at Utah. But one of the hardest was the Aragons. That because it was so camouflaged, and in France, going in there, they had hedges that were maybe 5 foot high, and the German tanks could hide in back of them, and you couldn't see them because they weren't any higher than the hedges. Where our American Sherman tanks, they had a great big dome on the top, but you could see that any place. But the Tigers, they were so low, and they hid in back of that. Of course, we didn't know it. And when we got back there, why, Patton was notified pretty quick about how they were hiding in back of them hedges, and they would just, well, destroy us. And they had, at that time, the infantry was on the run, and the cannons, the tanks, the Mark, they were left there. They know that they were doomed, but they done their duty. Believe me. They had on theirs 8 MMs. That's some of the ships had as their cannon were 8 MMs. Well, they had them mounted on tracks, on tanks, and they were powerful. And when Patton did have his big run-in with them, he found out by hitting them in the rear end, disabled them immediately. They found that. He found that some way, we don't know how. But he would make sure that when he come in to attack them, that he hit them from the rear. And there they were. But a lot of little things like that were so important to the Army that it's hard for people to realize it, but and they never realized or knew what had really happened. But that's some of the things that was important during the war. Little things like that, because from the front, they would get between buildings because of the shortness and the width of them. But we would get in between them buildings and hit them in the rear. That took care of that.
Yeah, Pete. How many days of combat were you in?
I was. It's recorded in the library. I was in 156 consecutive days of combat.
Yeah.
Wow.
156 days.
Wow.
Consecutive. Well, we were a bastard outfit. And as soon as, in this book, I wish you could see this.
Yeah, I'll hold it up.
Yeah.
He wanted to show you guys this.
The French wanted to award me the Legion of Honor. Well, when they give me the WWII, their second highest medal, they lost all of my stuff. So they wrote to the Congress so that they could give me the Legion of Honor. Well, anyhow, here in 1971, the library burned and all of the records were burned. So they said, would you please look and see? We have a World War II veteran that's entitled to the Liberty of Honor,
The Legion of Honor.
Legion of Honor, but we don't have the records. So here, Jim Renacci was my congressman, and he wrote in to the library to see if you can find something on the 283rd. And he said, well, we do have some partially burned that was in that section. We'll go through it. And a month and a half later, they found 56 pages that were burned.
That's what he was trying to show you guys. These pages, they have copies.
And you can
see all the burn marks.
See all the burn.
Wow.
Yeah.
That were in the
There
St.
was
Louis
enough
fire.
information there that they could give me the Legion of Honor.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Well, great
anyhow,
honor.
they presented it to me 3 years ago. And so they said, well, if you'll go to Chicago to receive this, and if we don't have a high-ranking official there, we will send one from France. And so Jim Renacci, which was my congressman, he said, well, we're going to have Patriots Day
Patriots ball.
ball, and why can't, he's a local, why can't we present it to him? He says, that's a French medal, not American, and
Yeah.
we present it.
Yeah.
Well, Jim Renacci got a hold of somebody, I don't know who, I never did find out. And we got the word, yes, so they sent me the medal. They were supposed to send it to Renacci, they sent it to me in my address.
That's
But they
nice.
said it could have got lost or stolen. So did I give it to the Patriots ball, and they presented it to me locally. And Baker, that runs the Hall of Fame, he's the one that presented it to me. And my neck was so stiff. This was like a 40-minute festival. I call it a festival. 40 minutes is not a quick interview. And my neck, he was 6'6", 420 pounds. That's how
Oh,
big
wow.
Dave Baker is.
Oh, he's a big boy.
Yeah, and I said, I should have been on a stool. And
He's literally that big.
General May was his name. He pinned it on me.
Oh, special.
And he was a 3-star general. And they had all the officials on stage, and I had that picture. And but anyhow, Baker wanted to be it. And when you were there at the Hall of Fame, he was away. So his assistant, Charlie, did all their, not Charlie,
Nice.
I think, but he was run everything, and he set up everything. So
Yeah, a little special.
he's the one that had us up in the interview room to make sure what we talked about. We won't have no problem. And we didn't.
Well, Patrick, thank you for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for the great opportunity again, man.
Oh,
Oh, I
have a-
forgot about you. I'm sorry. My
Yeah, that's okay.
we just let you talk, Pete. You know,
Just wind him up and he just talks.
You wind him up, and then
well,
that's all good. That's all good.
Yeah, you have any
Yeah.
last words for Pete Shaw, Patrick?
Yeah. Happy advanced birthday, Mr. Pete, and stay healthy, stay safe, and happy New Year.
and for you, I wish you a very wonderful future in life. And it's been my pleasure to talk to somebody directly from the Philippines, since I have never been there. That's my honor. And I want you to know that.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
it's
Pete.
wonderful that you're even considering wanting to talk.
Yeah.
It's hard for you or somebody your age to realize how that makes me feel. It does. It was great. It's an honor, really.
Thank you, Mr. Pete.
Yeah.
Made him smile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he got up at 3 a.m. for you.
Making me emotional.
The tears of joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Well,
wonderful.
cool. Well, Patrick, I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
See
Yeah.
you, buddy.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, Pete, every time I talk with you, I'm like on the verge of crying always. Ah,
Yeah.
I love you. All right.
Yeah. I love all of you.
Let's bring in Nathan. Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
You get your clinics? You want another one?
Yeah. I had. Oh, here it is.
Always getting me.
Yeah, always. Hey, Nathan, turn your camera on.
Yeah.
Nathan, are you there? Uh-oh.
Where are you, Nate?
Come on, Nate. There he is.
All right, there he is. Can you hear us, Nathan? Here it is. Audio's coming in.
Come
Hello?
running.
Yeah,
Nathan, say hello. You got Pete Shaw.
Hey, Mr. Donnie. Hey, Mr. Austin. How's it going?
going well.
They
Happy
are
New Year.
fine, Nathan.
Well, I have a
What?
few questions for you, Mr. Pete.
Well, first of all, tell them how old you are and where you're from.
I'm
Well, I'm
97.
13.
Nope, yeah.
I'm going to be 97
Pete,
on the
look at you.
11th of this month. And I'm from a little town in Pennsylvania called Clearfield. The only reason they call it, when I left there, the population was 62,000. So you can see how big but it was a county seat. That's one thing we had going for us.
All right, Nathan, now you tell him how old you are and where you're from.
Well, today I'm 13 and tomorrow I'm going to be 14. So this is sort of a little early.
Well, we have something in common.
Thank you.
Nice.
And where were you from?
I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, are you? I've been there many a time. My oldest dad lived there for many years. And my uncle, he was a head designer in for GMC. I'm trying to think of where they play football, the stadium, and the little the town there, right beside
Ann Arbor?
Ann Arbor. That's it. That's where he worked for General Motors. He was a designer. Yeah. So we have something in common. I was in your territory.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Go ahead, Nathan. You have Pete there.
So my first question is, when you were overseas, what was the food like?
The food was in a
Yes.
cardboard box or a tin can. The K rations was the crackers and cheese. And the C rations was a can of little hot dogs and beans. Now that was living. And we used to take, and a lot of, I was fortunate to be in the artillery, so we had vehicles. And we would take, I had my maintenance man, our last truck was a maintenance truck. In case something was wrong, they were right there to fix it. And to make a bracket to go over the manifold in our motor. Well, I punched a couple holes in the can of beans and wieners and put them in that bracket on the manifold.
Wow.
And they were always good and hot.
Wow.
So the other ones had to eat them cold, but we didn't. But believe me, they were good. Better than that cheese and jello cheese and crackers. Oh, them crackers were horrible.
Oh, man.
Sometimes you had to have a sledgehammer to break them. Yeah.
Chip a
And
tooth.
so when we would have some left over, we'd save them for the truck. And when we would drive down through the cities, they would go, cigarette or food for Papa and Mama. Well, we'd throw them K rations out to them. Oh, they thought they were heaven. What ain't that nothing?
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, no
Pete, did
chocolate
you-
for Mama.
Hey Pete, did you ever get a warm?
Them words.
Hey Pete, did you get warm meals out there as well? I know you had 186 days of combat. Did you ever get any warm or hot meals?
Well, about 3 months after, we had a mess truck join our outfit, and they had cookers on them, and they'd make coffee. Then you could go up and get some. But yeah, they would cook soup, you know, something that was simple, no steaks or nothing. But a lot of soup, and then they give the oyster crackers to put in it, you know, which we did. But that was the limit.
Yeah, well, I'm sure during the Battle of the Bulge and how cold it was. I mean, I can't imagine trying to eat a K ration, you know, out in the woods. You'll chip a tooth. I mean, you want something warm. You want a soup
below
or something.
zero, at least 5 or below zero, not counting the wind factor, every day. Every day.
Yeah.
And I went in, I'm pretty sure it was the fifth day of the bulge when our outfit got there. And it wasn't the whole outfit, it was only 3 trucks. Because the rest of the trucks, the other A, B, and C, was someplace else where they had to keep them. But ours, the A, was available, so that's where we went. Well, we were closer to there anyhow. But
Well, Nathan, what else you got? You got another question?
I have another question. What gun did you have?
I had a 32 caliber rifle, and but our main weapon was a 105 howitzer. That was our main outfit, Field Artillery.
You have howitzer.
But we carried little carbines with them.
30 cal carbine.
32 caliber carbines, which would be at one point I was entitled to a 45. I said, no, they don't shoot far enough and straight enough. I want a rifle. I'll carry the rifle.
Right.
Yeah, so that's, and then each one of us had available 2 hand grenades. So that's that was our weapons that we carried.
Very
Hey
cool.
Pete, what about because I know those howitzers are loud. I mean, what type of what type of ear protection did you guys have?
And hell, you couldn't even find them half of the time. So, and there was the cannoneer, the lanyard, the pull rope was a lanyard. He was the cannoneer, and he would sit there, and right next to him was the observer. He had a scope cannon that he would look for distance, and it would tell him, 300 yards, 200 yards. And then we had well, I call him a navigator, but they had a different word for it. And he would adjust the pitch of the cannon up or down. And believe me, it was accurate. When they would hit their object, it was hit.
That's crazy.
And
Yeah, it's just crazy how how loud it
yeah.
how
Oh,
loud those cannons are,
oh,
and for
you
people out
almost
there
had to wear
watching.
them.
Yeah, for people out there watching, now when you see a veteran, they're wearing hearing aids or they ask you to speak loud.
Yeah.
Now you understand why, because
Well,
I mean they're hearing protection where their pinkies just going like this.
Oh yeah. And then a lot of both of them had earmuffs. They put them down over their ears, put them back up over. And that really helped. But I wasn't in too much of that, but I was in a service battery and we were on the road 24 hours a day. We had to deliver food, ammunition, gasoline to all the 3 firing batteries, A, B, and C. So we were there all day long. And when it wasn't delivering, we were picking up. So there were, on my lead truck, there were 2 other drivers. But one driver was considered an ammunition handler. We had 4 ammunition handlers and 2 drivers on a truck. There was 6. And since I had the lead truck, I had a 35 caliber machine gun on a ring mount on mine. But mine was the only one that had the ring mount, the lead truck. And at night, we have a little spotlight. In other words, I think, was it you that showed me that?
Yeah.
He had it. I want to show it to you. What we drove by at night. And he said, you know what this? I said, my God, I haven't seen that.
Let's see if we can open it up here. There you go.
This is a flashlight.
Hold it back just a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
This went on.
That's a flashlight?
Yeah, it's a flashlight. That's what it was. And this was up. You could go up.
It's got a mirror on one side.
You had to put it there so the airplanes couldn't see the light.
Oh, wow.
And this set right in front of the front tire, the left front tire. It had a hook, but it was fashioned better than that. This helped, and this. Okay, right here, and here.
Is that original?
Yes. Oh, yes. That yeah. As soon as I seen it, I asked him if he knew what it was. That was our driving headlights.
So you didn't have so Pete, I thought there was blackout lights that had like a little like cat eyes.
That was in the back.
Okay.
The cat eyes. Here. The cat eyes were 1 inch by ½ inch. That fit in with the tail lights were, but that's all. And they were not for light; they were for following. The truck in back of me, if he lost sight of that, he was lost because they didn't have. I was the only one that had a driving light on my truck, and the other 4 trucks had to follow them cat eyes, and we used to have a kid. His name was Henry Hamill, and pretty soon we'd hear a tree get hit. We'd say, "Well, there goes Hit Tree Hamill." That's what we call him, Hit Tree Hamill.
Tree Hamill.
He'd miss some of the lights and get away too far, but they stayed pretty close.
That's awesome.
And that's how we drove at night with that little light. It only showed, it only focused about 5 feet ahead of the hood, the bumper.
So not much light.
Only 5 foot.
Light at all.
Well, you
Not much
couldn't
light at
have
all.
any more, they could spot it.
Yeah.
But
That's the
especially
stuff,
with
like, you
that,
don't even really think about, like, now when you look
Yeah.
back before, you don't think about things like that.
no,
Yeah,
but
they
as
had
soon as he
every-
showed it to me, oh my God.
You know,
Yeah.
I did research on this. We brought it to the Maps Air Museum, and they had no clue, never seen one.
Yeah,
But like I
It's a
said,
first-
it's got a mirror,
Yeah.
and when you
I
turn
see-
that light
wow.
on, it shines it right on the ground.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
that's
amazing.
a
Kurt, I've
reflector
never
that
seen that
shows it
before. That's the
down.
first time
you
I've
can
ever
see
seen one
that
of
that's
those.
a
I've never
reflector.
seen that either.
It's the first time I've ever
And
seen one of those. That's
I'll
incredible.
send you some more pictures on it. I mean, any other information you can find, I could not find anything on the internet.
Yeah.
Well, Pete certainly knew exactly what it was when
But
you
you
showed
did
him.
find out what it was.
Yeah,
Very familiar.
so Pete's the only one that's been able to give me information on it whatsoever, but
Yeah,
That's so
but
cool.
see, the lid was a mirror, and that
Yeah.
reflected the light.
Smart.
The-
Smart.
Because they only had a little wee light bulb in it that big.
Yeah. Hey, Nathan, I like your
that
hat. Your
reflector-
hat's looking good, Nathan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
see
That's
that.
from the 76th D-Day
Yeah.
walk.
Oh,
Yep.
nice. Very nice.
And
Word
thank
up.
you. It's been enjoyable talking to you.
Same here.
And you live in a wonderful, wonderful city. I have a lot of memories there. And I'll keep thinking about you. That's
Okay.
important.
Yeah, for sure. Nathan, you have anything left you want to say to Pete?
Thank you for your service and all you've done for our country.
Mm.
Well, you know what, your country's done a lot for me. But your country has showed me, I don't think I could have ever had enough money to participate in all the states and everything. The Army had me in 24 states,
Wow.
24 states.
You certainly thought it for sure.
Yeah,
Well, you're almost in the Navy. You
Yeah.
can tell that story later. We'll tell that story later. But Nathan, good to see you, buddy, and continue to to remember and to share the history and to learn more. I mean, just learning about this headlight is pretty special because there's always new information. There's always things that we're
Oh,
learning,
yeah.
and it's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, I remember from the Memoirs of World War II video with Mr. Pete when he was going and they were doing the colorblind test and he was reading the numbers out loud. He said, "Oh, I'm in the Army."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have time to tell you about that coloring. I wanted to get in the Navy because my cousin and my friend's uncle was in the Navy. So my buddy Carlo Corello was a little Italian boy, and he said, "Hey, we lived together. We went to school 12 years together. He was a guard, and I was a setter on the football team, and so we were that close. We lived together, and he said, 'We're going in the Navy.' And I said, 'Well, I can't get in the Navy. I'm colorblind.' He said, 'Well, we'll do it like we did for driver's license. When we were 16, we both went for driver's license. And he said, 'Now I'm going to go first. Now remember the colors as I read them off.' And he went like red, blue, green, orange, purple, black. And the guy says, 'I'm not deaf.' And I remember. So anyhow, of course, I passed the driving test, so I got my driver's license. So we got to Indiantown Gap, Pennsylvania. So they say preference. Well, we were high school graduates. College was first, then the high school graduates were second to pick you could pick the branch of service. So we picked the Navy. And so Carlo says, 'Now don't forget, we'll do the same thing because you can't mess up here.' So he went in and he all I heard was like 93, 28, 45, but 68, I'll never forget that number, 68. And so anyhow, next, so I went in. So they had a big folder there sitting on the counter. And he said, now I'm going to turn this page. And as I do, there are all these dots with different colors on them. But there will be a number, an image that'll come to you. You tell me what it is. 93. And I went 68. Well, it fell and it didn't turn. He said, how the hell do you know it's 68? Now I know why he was squealing. So he reached, are you colorblind? I said, no. He reached and pulled out a drawer and up to over all the floss. He says, give me the blue one. I says, I'm in the Army. He says, you would have sunk every ship we have. That 50% of our signals is color. But he said, thanks, we would love to have you, but it ain't going to work.
Oh, I love that
So
story.
that's how I wound up artillery.
I love that story. And the first time I heard that story was obviously a Memoirs of World War II. You know, Josh and his beautiful wife, they do an incredible job. If you guys watch it right now, if you guys haven't had a chance to watch Pete Shaw with Memoirs of World War II, I certainly say to watch it. It's incredible, and subscribe to their channel. They do great work recognizing and honoring our veterans.
They're actually on watching right now. They just said they have to leave, but they said hi to Pete.
Oh, for sure.
And
Yeah.
the chat.
Yeah, they do incredible stuff. And
goodbye.
All right, Nathan, thanks for coming by again. Good to see you.
Yeah, Nate.
Okay.
Good luck.
We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye, Mr. Austin. Bye, Mr. Downey. And thank you for your service, Mr. Pete.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Uh-oh.
All right, so let's keep this party going. You still good, Pete?
You still doing good?
Yeah.
All right. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. All right, let's get Brandon in here.
Do it.
Yeah.
See if he's still there.
There he is.
Brandon.
Hey, Brandon.
Hi, Brandon.
Can you hear us?
I'll be seeing you.
I don't know if he can hear us or not. Can you hear us? We can't hear you.
I can hear you.
No, he's talking to Brandon.
Oh.
Now, Brandon, turn your audio on. I don't think your audio's on. Or you're on
Hear
mute.
you, Brandon. Let me see here.
Is he on
We can
mute?
see you, but we can't hear you. And I don't see any options to ask him to turn his audio on. Uh-oh. You are silent, Brandon.
Yeah, my bad. Can you hear me now?
Oh.
Sorry. I had it off. I
Hi,
have triplet.
Brandon.
I have triplet daughters, and they're running around here like crazy. So my bad.
Got your hands full.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon,
Hi,
you're live with
so
Mr.
God
Pete
bless
Shaw.
you.
Thank you. I wanted to say thank you for your service and happy early birthday to you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got a question for him?
Let me. Yeah, I wanted to ask you what was your impression of the German soldiers that you were facing?
Well, those that we captured, they surrendered to us.
Hold on.
I told them, I said, you know what? This could be personal, but the way I look at it, you had a job to do and I got a job to do, so we're doing it. It's just too bad for you that I'm a little better than you now. And so I said, you know, some of them, yours and mine, are laying here that weren't captured, but that's, I said, that's war. And he says, yes, he says. And the irony, he said, how old are you? And I said, I'm 18. He says, I'm 17.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So that means something, 17. And he says, but later on in the war, we found some that was even younger than 17 that Hitler was using, run out of soldiers.
Wow. What was the youngest soldier you encountered, Pete?
Well, what's the youngest soldier that you encountered? Do you remember any ages?
Yeah, 16 years old.
Years old, okay.
Yep.
I
He
think
didn't have a gun, but he
like,
was
they
in
run
what
into
they
guys that were like
call,
14, 13.
oh, they had a German word for it. I wish I could remember it. Oh, God. In training, advanced training, for him to become a frontline soldier.
Wow.
But
Hey Pete, any of the German soldiers that you captured, did any of them speak any English?
oh, there were one that we had captured, and he says, no, it was at Dachau. He didn't believe in Hitler. Hitler was going to have him cremated. And when we liberated him, Dachau, he come up and talked to me in English and thanked me for liberating him. I said, how do you talk such good English? Well, he said, didn't you know that we were trained to talk English for when we captured America? We could talk. Yeah, but he did, but that's exactly what he said. We were schooled English.
Wow.
I was going to ask you also, was there much of do you recall any difference when did you come up against any of the SS versus the
Oh, yes.
and the
Superman.
ferocity? Yeah.
Yep. First, before I get into that, I'll tell you a little story. Wait, I got a lot of stories. There was, when we were going through Germany, this one Salzburg, and she was so thrilled that we was liberating their town. And she had a pin on her with a mother and a baby picture on that pin, like a little badge. And I says, oh, you carry it? No, she said, they took that. Well, why? She says, I'm what they call a war mother. Here, Hitler had his SS men, his Superman, make babies. And she was one. And she had that pin on her. But but believe me, they were trained to fight, but they didn't fight like the regular soldiers. No, he had some of the wrong men to be Supermen. He should have went better into the field and he got regular street guys, because they were really more like fighters, because they give up right away. Hi, honey.
Can you say thank you for your service?
Hi. Boy.
That's one of the three.
Girl.
Yeah.
Them eyes are going to turn a lot of heads.
Brandon, where do you live?
I live in Grinnell, Iowa.
In Iowa?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Ohio. But I moved into Hartville. It's a smaller community, but we all say Canton. And where was your home?
I live in Grinnell, Iowa.
Oh,
One of the states I've never been to yet.
I never.
Yeah.
been there.
Everybody
Good old
thinks I'm
flyover
from
state.
Iowa because I'm from Idaho.
Oh, yeah.
I'm from Iowa.
I get that. I just have one other last quick question, and I'll let. What was your experience like with, as you guys pushed further into Germany, with the civilians? Were they glad just to see the war coming? Or
Absolutely. They got out on their doorsteps, you know, and on the street when they seen our trucks come, waving. If it wasn't a flag, it was a little white cloth that they said, oh, and throwing kisses and everything. They were just so tickled that to be liberated and out of German hands. And while we were going through, we went through, I would say 30% of the homes where some of the Germans had even stayed that didn't come out. And those, some of the ones that they would go like this, and when the truck would stop and we would go in, and they come out peacefully, believe me.
Wow.
Yeah, but some of them, when we was going through like that, there'd maybe be 30 or 40 that the infantry had got, and was had them there. And we left them there. We kept right on going. We didn't want to bother with them. Let the next unit get them.
Wow.
Hey, Pete, were there any like soldiers that took their uniforms off and try to blend in with the civilian population?
No, I never
Don't know.
seen it. No. Well, there were some that, but you could tell right away. You could tell because they know if they got away for a little bit, excuse me, they weren't going too fast. But a lot of them tried to hide. One, Daryl Zink was his name. He was a country boy. And all of a sudden, it was one night about, just turning dusk. And I heard, pow, shot went up. Here, he'd ordered this guy to stop on a bicycle. He didn't, so he shot him in the rear. It was a German soldier. And he did have a different outfit on, trying to get away.
Right.
He shot him in the butt.
Yeah. Hey, Pete, I talked to some other veterans and they were saying like a lot of times when the Wehrmacht, you know, the regular army will surrender, some of the SS soldiers that were there, they would change their uniform and put on a Wehrmacht uniform. And the way that they identified them and they separated them was, I know they took a knife and they cut their sleeve of the uniform off, see their, and they made two different lines. So like, you know, once they cut the sleeve off, they see that they have the SS tattoo and they'll go over there and the Wehrmacht over there. So, I mean, I know that, you know, there's been some stories where they try to blend in.
Oh, yeah, there were a lot that tried to camouflage themselves, you know. But it come to a point that a lot of the young ones shaved their head, you know, to make them look older or something. I don't know. But, and a lot of them had, well, most of them that we noticed, that we took in custody, they didn't have no shoes on. Because you could tell them German shoes right away. And they were barefooted. Yeah.
Wow. Cool. Well, Brandon, it was good to meet you.
When we'd see them, we would know right away. We'd put them in a different line.
Yeah.
They went to the stockade. And
thank you so much.
And all the times that we picked up somebody, there was 2 times that we got nurses, German nurses. And I said, what was you in? She said, oh, I was a nurse. I said, well, you didn't have to change uniform. That's one thing that we respected, was the nurses, the doctors in the hospitals. So you didn't have to do that. Well, she said, I didn't know.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Well, cool. Brandon, it's good to meet you. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, cool. We'll talk to you again, hopefully, Brandon. And let's bring someone else in here.
Yeah, any last words you want to say to Pete?
Yeah, I think you live in one of the states that start with I.
Thanks again for your service, Pete.
Idaho, and half the time I can't think of the other one, but there is another one. I think.
Indiana.
Don't bet on it. So good luck to you, Brandon.
All right. See you later.
And it's been very nice talking to you.
All right. Let's see who we got next here.
How you doing, Pete? You doing all right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll go a little bit. We'll take a couple more and let you enjoy your Saturday.
Yeah. Sure. All right. Let's see. Camden. Wait, I clicked on it and it just, oh, there it is. No. All right, Camden, we can see you, but we can't hear you yet.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
We can hear you.
Hello, Camden. You're on with Pete Shaw. What's your, where are you from and how old are you?
I am 17 years old and I am from Barrie, Vermont.
Vermont. All right.
Mm.
Well, you're live with Mr. Pete Shaw.
Yeah.
All yours.
Mr. Pete, sorry. First, I just want to say thank you so much for your service and your dedication to your country. I really appreciate it. I have a really deep appreciation for history, and I always like to talk to people who have had a certain involvement in it, and people who served in the Second World War hold a second place in my heart. So being able to talk to you right now is just really special to me.
Well, it's a pleasure for me to have somebody like you that want to do that.
Yeah. Thank you.
It is. It's wonderful that you're so concerned about World War II, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
What I like to. How old are you?
17.
Yeah. Well, what I tell when Donnie had us over on D-Day, 75th anniversary, and I'm going to tell you the same thing. We went to a school, children's school, up to 8 years old, and they were under chairs and they would ask questions,
Hmm?
So the one says, is there anything special that you would like to know? Yes, she says. So she come right up to me. We had the chairs here, and she says, I want to know, you tell me what is the most important thing that's happened to you since you've been over here. Now, she was like maybe 6 or 7 years old to ask a question like that. And I can't think of her name, but I do have it wrote down at home. And I says, well, what's the most important thing to me is this conversation right now, talking to you, that you can say maybe 20 years from now, when you're married and have children, you can tell them, when I was your age, honey, I talked to a real live veteran of World War II Normandy.
Wow.
That's what I'll remember most, I think, because that's important that you want to know what I want. And I says, that's just wonderful. And it was.
That is wonderful.
And I hope that she does remember and tell her, and you can tell your children.
I will. I know.
Yep.
I've been wanting to talk to a World War II veteran for a very long time because I know that there's just not many of them left. I mean, they served 75 plus years ago, and it's just such an honor for me to be able to talk to one of them. It's history right in front of you, and I'm really happy to be able to be doing this right now. That story that you told me warms my heart. That's really good. I mean, I'm definitely going to remember this. I'm definitely going to be able to tell my children that I was able to talk to someone who fought in the worst war in history, and that they have.
You got a superstar here. Pete's a superstar.
In 9 more days, I'll be 97.
Wow, that is insane. 97 years old. That is crazy. You said you served in the Battle of the Bulge?
Yep.
My great-grandfather served in that battle.
God bless him. You can be proud of him.
Yeah.
That was the last big battle that the Supermen were going to control everything. Well, they got through, but I don't know if he ever told you that. I repeated this before.
Yeah.
That we lost 80,000 Americans in that battle, more than D-Day.
More than D-Day.
And they lost over 120,000. That's how bloody that battle. And it wasn't 2 weeks long.
It was. That's all.
I think it was. Yeah, it was short, but there was no let up on either side. But we had what they call 3 phases: 3 north, south, and east. And we focused all of them, and we squeezed in.
Wow!
And that's how we stopped them.
That's how you stopped them from going. I know they called it the Battle of the Bulge because they were able to break your lines, and they were able to.
Well, we never expected that to happen, and but they didn't get anywhere.
Yeah, and that's such a good thing as well, because that could have been, if the Americans hadn't have been able to hold them back, that they could have completely turned the tide of what was going on in the European theater.
Yeah, we went in.
But I just have one quick question.
When I went in with I followed Patton in. It was already on a little over 4 days when our artillery outfit got there, but we got there.
So you got another question there?
Yeah.
You got another question, Camden?
So I guess the main question I want to ask you is, I heard earlier that you've fought in over 150 plus days of straight combat.
158 consecutive days of combat, and it's in the library.
That is a lot.
Well, we were unattached. We were with the 3rd Corps, but was part of the 3rd Army, which was Patton. But we were not even a division. We were just a company. And wherever they needed our howitzers, they would call us, And they called us a bastard combat outfit, because we had whoever needed us, that's where we went. I have a book here that shows you from Belgium, Germany, Poland, Holland. You know, a lot of people don't even know we fought in Holland. Back to France, and it's all, I don't know how they even kept track of it. And it's all on that book and shows everything. The days that we were there, and we were 26 days in Germany.
26?
26 days of combat.
Wow.
Yeah,
Like straight-
that was put of the whole time.
wow.
Everyone had respect for your outfit, and everybody wanted, and for you guys to be a part. But they kept like asking, "Hey, come on, need ya."
The most memorable battles weren't in France or that, because we really didn't have that much action. You know, because when we started firing, they started running.
Right.
But in Germany, they had no place to run.
Yeah.
So
Whenever
Munich, Frankfurt, Nuremberg, you know, them were big battles. And Berlin, of course. When we entered Berlin, we said, we're leveling it. And we didn't even win the building. We put the 105 right there and blew them down, blew the building.
Took it down.
Yeah. You in there hiding, goodbye. That was war. We, you know, Patton said, we ain't getting killed if we can help it.
Yeah.
Right.
And he never hesitated having somebody killed, I'll tell you. But what a man. Everybody would give their life for him. But they say he was a hell, this and that. Well, he had a knit outfit, believe me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody that served him is not proud of him.
Yeah. I
You know,
mean,
Eisenhower had, he put all this together, him and the greatest general that's in the war was General Marshall. People don't even know. He run the war from Washington, D.C., the capital. George C. Marshall was his name. And he laid everything out and put it over to Eisenhower. Eisenhower, God bless him, never fought one day of combat. Never, one day.
one day.
He stayed in London.
That's
Of course,
where
he run the operation from there, which
Wow.
was important to us.
Yeah.
Because we know where
That
to
I
go,
didn't.
where they were. You know, so even though he wasn't in combat, he sure run a good army.
Yeah, but it takes a team. You know, you need all the different elements in order to make it run and to make it efficient and to win. And it worked. And we're so grateful. Yeah, we're so grateful for everyone doing their part in the war effort for our success and our victory. I mean, the world to be a different place, you know, today. And that's why it's important that we continue to honor and recognize all the men and women that serve in uniform, for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, up until 15 years ago, maybe not even that long, this was never done to World War II veterans. How many, you know, in the last 10 years, you World War, you know, it's amazing. You know, it's wonderful. It makes me glow. And I know it should the other ones, if it doesn't, you know, to be recognized no matter what you done.
I feel like everyone
No
should
matter
get
what you
recognized
done.
because they fought for you when you couldn't fight or you didn't want to fight. They stood up and they put their lives on the line for their country. And I feel like that just for that, they should be recognized. Everyone who wears a uniform or wears a hat that says veteran on it, they should be immediately recognized because they're the ones who were willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for their country. And it's
Thank you.
honestly,
But I want to tell you something about that. I know Donnie has heard this before, but before the virus come, at least twice a month, I used to go to all different organizations and talk. And so one time I was down at the American Legion in Canton, where I live. And they wanted for me to give a talk, and they had some Korean veterans there and everything. So before they introduced me to the stage, there was a fellow sitting beside me, was about, I imagine, between 60 and 65. And he had a World War II uniform on, but it was about 4 sizes too big. You know, and I says, you must have joined the Army when you were 6 months old. And just in this tone of voice, he says, no. He said, this is my father's uniform. He was never overseas. He doesn't have any medals, and he never left the United States. Just in that tone of voice. Well, the whole room looked at him. And I said, well, just what did your father do in the United States? Well, he taught medics for overseas. And I said, is that all he did? Yes. I said, well, you know, I couldn't have done that. I'm not that skilled. I said, everybody that is here, they either had a skill to train or prepare stuff to send over to us. We couldn't do it, but let me tell you, did you ever stop to think of all the medics your father taught, that how many lives that they saved? As two of them in this chair, he stood up, started to cry. And he says, Mr. Shaw, you changed my life around. I never looked at it that way. So you see, he didn't realize just how important his father was.
Wow.
That he didn't go overseas.
Yeah.
But how many veterans that he trained to save lives. I says, everybody, if they weren't DF and had to stay here on account of their health, the other ones that stayed, they had a skill. And that's why they were kept here. So you see, a lot of people don't realize why a lot of them had to stay in the States. But there were reasons for everything. So
Sure.
a lot of people I talk to, they say, you know, we never looked at it. You know, that's right, you're right.
I never looked
I
at
mean,
it.
hell, we couldn't get up and leave over there and sailboat back to fight and get supplies. And that's the way the Army works.
That's a great perspective, Pete.
I never thought of it like that. I never knew about that, about how many people stayed back in the United States just to train medics. I mean, like when you think of the war, like about the people who served, you think of the soldiers, but you really don't think about some of the people who kind of were on the sidelines training some of the other people who could save lives. It doesn't matter if you're a soldier or if you're just a medic, you're all involved in the commitment. And I didn't know that there were so many people that stayed back in the country, but they were still doing their part for the war effort. That is just really, really.
Yeah, I know you're right about that. There's one of the veterans that we took back years ago, Pete Dupre. You know, he worked in a hospital in the UK, and he says, "Hey, I never pulled my weapon to shoot a bullet, but I took a lot of bullets out of soldiers."
That's
You know,
right.
so some of the guys never shot a bullet, but they took a lot of bullets out. And like, it's like what you said, Pete, it takes a community, it takes a team in order to, you know, to have success in winning a war. I mean, someone has to make the, you know, the ammunition, the bullets, the airplanes, the food. I mean, like, it's incredible. You look at a big picture, but it's important that everyone that took part in the war effort is recognized for sure. Thank you for
that. Was in 97 General Hospital in Frankfurt, Germany in 1945. A doctor, his name was Dr. Stuhl. And he says, you know, I have a carbine, but I never taken the cosmoline off of it yet, that they packed them in, you know.
Mhm.
When you got it, you had to clean all that cosmoline, take them apart. He says, it's still the way they give it to me.
Wow.
He says, that's not what I need in these hands.
Right.
I need instruments.
Yeah.
And that's right.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
Camden, hey, we're gonna. Do you have any anything else you want to say to Pete?
I just had one last thing I wanted to know. Since you fought so long, what kept you going? What made you keep fighting on? What made you want to keep going in such a hard battle that you were fighting?
Well, one of the main reasons I wanted to hurry up, do my part to try to get it over so I could get back. When I went in the Army, my mother and dad were 70. And that's when they needed me to take care of them. And that was the biggest thing that was on my mind, to take care of my mother and dad.
Really?
And God bless, they both lived to be a good age, but that was very important. We all wanted to hurry up, get it over, and get back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that gave you some motivation for
Yeah.
sure. Thinking about like,
Yeah.
you know, let's just get this war over so we can get back to our lives, get back to our parents, get back to our family, get back to our girlfriends. I mean, all those are small little bouts of motivation, you know, to keep it going. I'm sure, Camden.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, that's really what I wanted to ask you about, because I just knew that so many soldiers had their own way of staying motivated, of staying determined to win the war. And because I know it was willpower from a lot of the soldiers that kept them fighting on and made them continue to push against the Germans and keep them going back until the battle was over and you guys could go home. And I knew each soldier had their own motivation, but I wanted to know what yours was. And that is really, really just touching thing.
And before this virus, come on, I spoke twice a week to different clubs, organizations, and mostly because they had a lot of publications of me where that I'm a very highly decorated World War II veteran. I have 5 battle campaigns. I have 4 Bronze Stars. I have 2 presidential citations, one from Roosevelt and one from Truman.
Oh.
And I'm in the Library of Congress. And I have 2 of France's highest awards.
Wow.
WWII, which is the second highest, and the Legion of Honor, which is the highest.
I remember
The
that
highest
line.
that they've ever given anybody.
I remember
And-
that line you said from the 75th anniversary video. That video got me so emotional just because of, I know you got really emotional with all the friends and that you lost during D-Day, and it warmed my heart to see you being able to remember all of them name by name, person by person, and it was so just really, really
It's
emotional.
hard.
I cried during it because it was such an emotional video.
And we all do.
How do you think I feel? I had to make that. I had to watch it like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Like I'm just sitting in my office just crying like all day. Like
Yeah.
And
there's even more. There's stuff that's even worse that makes you cry.
Yeah.
And when Donnie had us over for the 75th anniversary of D-Day, he says, where are your medals? I said, I haven't had them out. He said, well, you can get them out and put them on.
You earned them. You
So
earned
I had
them.
them all on me,
More
and
than
one
earned.
hanger and those. And,
That's right.
But the other ones that were there, I think there were like 14 other ones, Don.
We had a total of 16.
Yeah.
16 was there? And we all had them. And Shorty, little Shorty, he was so comical. And,
Shorty.
and
Well,
he
anyway,
said, some of these steps, if I can't come up, you help me.
Yeah.
But every ceremony that we went to, the lady, she was never left England, but she was over there on D-Day. And every time she sat beside me, she said, I wish this was 30 years ago. I do too. I can't think of her name, but on them
Leela.
pictures that I have here, there she is.
Leela Morris.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, Camden, it was great to meet you, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you guys for letting me in. Thank you guys so much for your time. And Pete, thank you so much for your service. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for being so interested in it.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's
knowledgeable.
my pleasure.
All right.
Maybe some of
Yeah,
this
hopefully,
why
Camden.
you could relate to somebody of your friends.
Thank you. I will. I will try my
Thank
best.
you.
All right.
Thank
Good luck to you in the long life.
Thank you guys for everything that you guys do. It's so important that we continue to reach out to these veterans and get their stories, because it's so important that the younger generations learn about it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for doing your part.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See ya.
Say hello to Idaho. Iowa. Iowa.
Hey,
Not Idaho.
Hey, Austin, how many, we have more people in the waiting room?
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the waiting room.
So, I'm trying to think. Should we do like a minute real quick, or just, I mean, I don't know.
All right.
I know we've been on 2 hours. We want to
Yeah, I
be
think this is
considerate
like
of your
the
time
longest
for
thing we've
sure.
ever done.
Yeah, but I want to definitely get everyone that's in the waiting room a chance just to say hello. I mean, maybe can we just,
blast them all in and everybody can
sure,
say,
sure, why not? Let's do that.
all right, let's bring
do that.
everyone in.
Let's do it. All right, we're going to bring everybody in the waiting room right now.
This could get crazy, but heck, this could be fun. All right, everybody, you're coming in.
Everyone that's in the waiting room a chance.
This is gonna be crazy.
Okay, so I guess you guys did decide to let us.
Bring everyone in.
Everyone's in. Everyone's in. You're here with Pete. Pete Shaw. Harry Pete Shaw.
Oh my! All right. Wait, how many people are?
Hi.
Oh, there's a lot.
Oh,
Hello,
this is
guys.
crazy. All right, everybody. Might as well end it on a high note here. Look at that.
Yeah, sure.
We got a lot of
everyone
faces
just
there
go
from
around.
all over the world.
Reese, come here.
Hello, hello.
Hi, guys. Hello, guys.
Austin.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Adam.
Hi.
Hello. Look at all those guys.
Do you see them all?
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy birthday, Pete. Happy New Year. Thank you for your service.
That's so
And thank
cool.
you for remembering us and coming.
Thank you for your service, Mr. Pete Shaw. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
Pete.
you.
Happy New Year.
You made my day.
Mine too. Thank you
This
so
is
much,
Reese.
sir.
He's from Spain.
Reese would not be here if it wasn't for you.
Thank both of you. This is
Thanks from Chicago,
wonderful
Illinois.
pleasure for me.
Hello.
He's from Spain, mister.
We got guys from Ireland. We got Spain.
Oh,
Colombia.
We got Colombia.
I
Represent.
went to Ireland to pick up supplies.
Mr. Pete. Reese would not be here if it was not for you.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Hello. Thank you for your
And I
service,
wouldn't
Mr.
be
Pete.
here if it wasn't for you.
No. His mom
Hello,
is
Mr.
from
Pete. How you
Belgium.
doing?
He's from Belgium also.
Oh,
All right. Well, okay. Well,
Hello,
this,
Mr. Pete.
this is crazy. So
Well, this-
Everybody here, everybody say a thank you for your service. One.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pete service, Pete.
Thank you for your service.
Service,
Thank you
Pete.
for your
Thank all of
service.
you.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Well,
Thank you for
Happy
your
New
service.
Year, everyone. I'm
Happy
glad that
New
we had a
Year.
chance to get everybody
I would
on.
not
You've all
be
made
grateful
my
Hours
for
is
day.
the longest we've ever gone. So, thank you guys for your support. We're all doing our service. Pete served actively. We serve inactive by giving back and remembering their service and sacrifice in the country. So thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. And with that,
Danny, for all you do.
we will say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
See y'all later.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank all of you.